a sinner, left my lover crying on the dance floor. I'm a sinner, I'm a sinner.
So hello, welcome to the Indie Files. We're looking at The Sound of Drop, Fall into Poison. So this is a game I picked up on sale. Let's see if it's any good and worth a full Let's Play later down the line. I get an achievement just for starting the game. Before she realized it, the girl was standing before an imposing door. The girl occasionally came to Menten Aquarium alone. She watched the manta rays, she watched the jellyfish, and finally she decided it was time to go home. Where is this? She had her doubts, but there should be nothing else there except for the aquarium. She assured herself that she had probably wandered off into a side path. The door before her had a large padlock hanging from it. Just as she had heard, it was unlocked and merely dangling there. The girl drew in a breath. Being locked would usually mean it was a place she shouldn't enter. Being open just meant that a staff member had forgotten to lock it, so going in was out of the question. Her curiosity piqued. She was past the point of persuasion. Her imagination ran wild and her mind raced at the prospect of what might lie beyond the door. Just for a little bit. She opened the door and saw lots of glass tanks. Several types of fish hailing from the deep seas, from football fish to oarfish to pelican and eels, and barrellies were swimming about. Why isn't this an exhibit? She thought it over, wondering why this would be in a closed-off area. Behind her, the door shut on its own. The girl spaced out, staring at the deep-sea fish swimming about. They would leap from the tank and swim in midair. The entirety of the room was the fish and their ocean. Though it was an unnatural occurrence, the girl treated it as quite normal. Wasn't there originally a deep-sea fish booth that was shut down? She suddenly remembered, at that moment, her surroundings were dyed a deep red. The water in the tanks, the fluorescent lights, all of it was red. The girl's vision had become red. When she opened her eyes, the girl was back in her own room. It was well into the night. She couldn't remember how she had gotten home after all of that. But more importantly, she had a bad feeling about something else. It isn't red here. She became aware of how hard it suddenly was to breathe. No matter how hard she gasped, she was unable to get oxygen into her body. Like the fish who couldn't breathe anywhere but in the water, she couldn't breathe unless she was inside that red color. She was convinced. On impulse, she threw open the window, leaned out, and thrust a hand outside. She couldn't inhale the wind flooding her room. She could only smell its milky, pleasant scent. More. At that moment, the girl's body was tossed into the air. For just a second, her body seemed to float like a fish in the sea. Her room was on the 12th floor of her apartment building. In her fading consciousness, the girl watched her body flow endlessly from her body. Her blood flow. It's red. Only then could she breathe. Now everything would be fine. The girl smiled. The full moon in the night sky smiled too. Drip, drip, the sound of falling drops. The moon was concealed behind the clouds, and all the lights in the town were covered in water. The sound of it, the only thing left to resonate. She couldn't tell whether it was hot or cold, merely that the humid air was encircling her. Drip, drip. Wherever they were falling to Wherever they were coming from, the drops just continued to trickle out. That single drop. I stopped it with both hands. The sound of that solitary red drop. Nice. I'm enjoying this one so far. Don't forget to check out my other channels, Sinfully Pure and Cenobite Unicorn. Okay. I wonder, does the... Oh, it does. So this was made in Renpai, I think. Okay. Alright, that's interesting. Or at least there's an urban legend that goes like that. Talking about Manton Aquarium again. That's your new thing, isn't it? While stuffing her lunch into her mouth, Tamagawa Himeno spoke with her eyes sparkling. I had no idea which point in the story got her so excited. That's right. Isn't this the scariest part? That the girl jumped to her death smiling after coming back from Mantan Aquarium? It's pretty bad. Yet you don't seem at least a bit scared, Himeno. That's not true. I've got chills running down my spine. Someone who's got chills running down her spine wouldn't be eating a pastry so cheerfully. Someone who's got chills running... Okay. And hey, that's my meatball! During a break in the conversation, Himeno stole a side dish from my boxed lunch. This minced meat from growing calves and little piglets. It's the best. Why do you have to put it like that? Jeez. Why'd you have to make me lose my appetite? I'll give you the rest of it. Alright. I'll take it. Himeno takes the rest of the meatballs from my lunch with amazing rhythm. The reason that I, Nakanobi Mayumi, lost my appetite wasn't because Himeno's story scared me. Manton Aquarium and I are connected in a way that I'd rather not think about. Of course, Himeno has no idea about that connection. If she knew, she'd never mention Manton Aquarium around me again. At the same time, I've been afraid that this thing might cause Himeno to stop talking to me. Himeno is pretty much my only friend. It isn't that I haven't talked to anyone since entering junior high, just that the only person I can actually call a friend is Himeno. Seriously, I think this whole Manton Aquarium rumor obsession is getting a bit out of hand. Maybe. There's so many rumors though, like that there's a man's ghost in the tanks, that the deep-sea fish booth is only open on a full moon, that the water changes into blood, or that you can hear the crying from behind the tanks. That earlier one goes with this one also. No, that's fine. You don't need to say anymore. I say firmly, causing Himeno to make a sour face. Soon after, Himeno changes the subject. First to a TV drama that aired the night before, then to some cute fake nails with cats on them that she found in a magazine. She then talks about the classmate who was dating a boy from a nearby private school, alighting on one subject before quickly changing to the next. Normally, the subject of Manton Aquarium shouldn't have popped up again. Anyway, getting back to what we were talking about earlier. Huh? What exactly were we getting back to? Manton Aquarium. I looked into it, and this Sunday it'll be full moon. Huh? That was all I could say. The rest of my words unable to come out. So we should go there and see if the rumors are true or not. But I know you aren't interested in stuff like urban legends, Mayu. But next week, we'll be prepping for the end of semester, and I won't be able to hang out with you. Lately, we haven't gone anywhere together, have we? If the full moon was next Sunday, I'm sure Himeno wouldn't have said anything. But I suspect because it happened to be this Sunday, and next week happens to be our exam, she chose Manton Aquarium. I know that I'm not hiding my confusion or my hesitation very well. Even so, Himeno turns her carefree grin my way. Since it's an aquarium, even if the rumors aren't true, we can still have fun, right? Well, that's true. Usually anywhere I go with Himeno is fun. Whether or not we'd have fun was not what I was worried about. By the way, Mayu, in the East Building of Manton Aquarium, they have a Haagen-Dazs, as in the Eden restaurant. They had closed up at one point, but it looks like they're reopening for a limited time. Really? Really? They have cookies and cream flavor you like too, Mayu. Of course I hesitate, but in the end, that settles it. Then we'll go, as long as we definitely get some cookies and cream. Saying you have no memory because you did too much shopping is out of the question. I know, after all, I'm something of a glutton myself. Fine. In the end, we settle on Manton Aquarium and ice cream for Sunday. Since I have already received my reward money for moving on the next grade, I don't need to worry about my allowance. Still, it's been 5 years. Did you say something, Mayu? Nope, nothing. I bite my tongue, covering the words that had carelessly spilled out. I'm looking forward to the aquarium. It's probably been about 10 years. I'm looking forward to the cookies and cream. It's probably been about 10 years. That's not true. It's the truth. That's the only thing I'll eat there. Himeno goes, you little, as she playfully stretches my cheeks. The end of lunch chime sounds, and Himeno goes back to her own seat. If it's with Himeno, I'll be fine. That's what I told myself at the time. And somebody's gonna die. So if you guys would like to see me look at a game, let me know in the comment section. Sunday is 3 days after that. The day I promised to go with Himeno to Manton Aquarium has arrived. We're to meet at noon at the Mantansho station. As is customary for me, I arrive 30 minutes early. Leaning against a pillar, I do nothing but space out. Tons of people pass before me. Manton is really crowded on days off. Even so, there aren't really that many families or groups of students. Everyone around me appearing to be adults. Because of that, I quickly begin to feel uneasy. Within this crowd, I am alone. Inexplicably, my head begins to hurt. I wonder if Himeno will be here soon. I mutter to myself, then look at my shoes. Deep blue sandal boots that were this year's newest product. When Mom and I had stopped off at a department store on Saturday, she bought them for me after some coaxing on my part. They were far from what I'd call high quality, but they were still a bit pricey for a junior high schooler's allowance. I'm not usually the type to beg, but I couldn't take my eyes off these boots. My mom bought them with almost no resistance, saying, You're going out of town, so you need to look your best. I liked both their form and their color and found them a better fit for the summer season than anything else. I take my cell phone out and check the time. There are still 15 minutes to go until we're to meet. Since Himeno is always 3 minutes later than the time we established, I've got about another 20 minutes. I finish reading my paperback on the train, so I have nothing to kill time with. There is nothing I can do about it, so I decide to keep myself from boredom by watching people passing by. If I don't find myself distracted, horrible thoughts will revive in my mind. I'm always worried about what will happen if I'm late, though. It had actually been about a month and a half since Himeno and I had gone out. We always talked at school, but rarely spent time together afterwards. Anyone who saw us probably thought we were opposites. Outings like this aside, I often spend my days off at home. When I was in elementary school, our family would go out often, but lately it's been limited to dining out on Saturdays. So when I asked what I do when I stay home, I usually just say I do nothing. Doing homework and watching TV is stuff that seems pretty common to me. On the other end of the spectrum is Himeno, who goes out regularly. I often hear stories of when she went to karaoke on weeknights, or about how she traveled out of town on Sundays. She's a member of an active sports club and often wants to hang out with them after. Going out of town on the already limited days we have off tend to make me think Even though it's a day to rest, I don't feel rested at all. In other words, something like this is difference between Himeno and I. Without much common ground between us, why become friends is... Suddenly the light fades from my vision. It wasn't just that it had become dark, but that I had the sensation of being unable to breathe. But rather than sweating, I got a little mad. Sorry. Hearing my wordless protest, Himeno pulled her hands away. I get playing the who am I game while covering someone's eyes, but covering someone's mouth too was just like Himeno. When I puff out my cheeks and object, Himeno just smiles at me. Himeno was so dead, isn't she? It's because you were starting to space out, Mayu. Oh. Instead of apologizing, Himeno blew on the nape of my neck without thinking. I made a weird sound, embarrassed. I looked around 2 or 3 times, but the pedestrians walking by seemed unperturbed and didn't even look our way. The culprit who had surprised me moves in front of me before I realize it. You're mean, Himeno. But I got to hear something good. No, you didn't. Moreover, you're... As I say that, I check the time on my smartphone. It's 3 minutes to noon, our agreed upon meeting time. It's not yet. How rare. That's rude, jeez. I'll make you make a weird noise again. Saying that, Himeno opens and closes her fingers in small, swift gap motions. At times like this, I know I had better change the subject or get messed with by Himeno again. Oh, by the way, did you buy a new one? You mean my necktie? Yeah, I did. I thought I should get one to match my shorts. You and I haven't hung out since around midterms, Mayu. If I buy something today, I really be out of money. What about the aquarium? You still set on finding out about the urban legend then? Of course! That's my #1 goal. But as usual, I can't count the things I want to do just on one hand. Okay, I get it. As long as I eat cookies and cream, that's the absolute. I haven't forgotten. Anyway, Mayu, aren't your sandals new? Himeno says as she looked at my feet, talking about 3 times as fast as she does in class. Yeah, nice, aren't they? They're super cute. How cool, I want a pair too. Nope, then we'll be too similar, and these are the only pair of sandals I have for the summer. Talking like this, it puts me at ease. Unlike myself, who is childish, Himeno knows a lot about fashion and trends. Even here in Montan, it seems like she blends in. Most importantly, by being with Himeno and constantly chatting, I no longer feel lonely. Yeah, no shit. Oh yeah, Himeno, why did you bring such a huge bag? I'm glad you asked. With the hee-hee, Himeno opens the Boston bag she had let sink down her shoulders. A variety of... What the fuck is a Boston bag? The fuck is that? A variety of things come out, such as a flashlight, insect repellent, a simple blanket, a first aid kit, matches, snacks, like chocolate and cookies. What is all this? Himeno, where do you plan on going? Ignoring the twitch developing in my face, Himeno thumps her chest. Gee, to the aquarium, but since we're investigating urban legends, we should at least have some supplies. A gun, a baton. Rather than an investigation, the equipment she has reminds me more of going camping in the mountains. The snacks and blankets aside, where in the city size would we even need insect repellent or a flashlight? Almost said something else. I keep those feelings to myself and just smile. I let out a breath that is half exasperated, half amused. I don't get sick of being with Himeno. Whether Himeno is aware of my exasperation, gaze or not, she starts to take something out, then quickly shoves it back in. She gives me a smile, implying some secret. No wait! It's too soon for you to see that. What are you going on about? I'm not telling! Upon saying that, Himeno quickly closes the bag. The way I see it, it is a wonder she fit all the supplies she had out just a moment ago. I wonder where it's all being stored. By the way, no club today? Or by the way, no club today? I ask with an underlining question of whether or not today is a day off for the club. At my question, Himeno averts her eyes. So I think this is where we're going to leave it for this one. If you guys want to see more, let me know in the comments section. And I'm glad you guys have enjoyed the Indie Files, and I'll see you next time. Bye!